Hey Liquidators, welcome back to the FX Liquidators Weekly Forecast hosted by Danny and Heat. Today I'm going to do a quick rundown on EU, and then Danny will go through a few pairs that he has his eye on for the coming week. And without further ado, let's start with EU. So going back to EU, so on the weekly, we're still bullish. On the daily, we're still bullish. On the 4-hour, we're still bullish, but we're getting close to the areas that we're looking for some decisions, if it will continue to stay bullish or if it'll turn bearish. Now, really quickly, if I go through some of the things that I'm looking at. So last week we were expecting further moves to the downside. We got that with some huge news wicks, some big whipsaws up and down that brought the price down close to our expected area, pushed the price back up, and then after started to come back down again. So what we're looking at for next week, we would still like to see the price go deeper into the demand zone that we targeted for the 4-hour time frame. And so as the price is currently retracing, pushing up a little, what we're thinking is the price could go up, push up a little further into some of the supply zones just above, and maybe even a little higher before coming back down, testing that demand zone, the 4-hour demand zone at the bottom, and then pushing up. If you just look quickly on the 1 hour, one of the things I noticed is we actually are starting to build some sort of a Wyckoff schematic in this area, and that would actually further give confluence to our analysis, because if it does create a Wyckoff formation here, creates the spring, then the likelihood that it does push up back into the upper liquidity targets that we're looking for, I think are going to be more likely. But one thing I don't like about this particular idea is if we look on the daily, one of the things I can see on the daily is from the daily point of view, it actually did go quite deep into our, well, not deep, but noticeably mitigating our 4-hour demand zone. And there is a potential that it may just go up from here. I'm not ruling out the fact that, there is a possibility that it may actually create deeper lows as well, break structure, and potentially change our overall bias on our expectation on EU. But for the time being, the things I'm looking for are this supply zone to be hit, potentially an area up here, which is also supply zone that could be hit, and potentially higher up to create create a sign of strength, and then push down, create a spring, and then bounce off that and push up back to our liquidity targets to the upside. So that's it for me on EU. Why don't we switch to Danny, and he can give his forecast for the pairs that he's looking at this week. Danny, whenever you're ready.
All right. Good morning, Liquidators. Hope everybody is doing good. Hope everybody has a good weekend, and hope everybody's ready for this. As you guys know, my name is Danny. I trade on a lot of higher time frames. I look at a lot of different pairs, And every weekend I usually go over all the pairs briefly and kind of see what interests me. And with that, I look at breaks of structure and seeing where price is in between the range and seeing if it is at supply or demand zones that could be held that are following structure. So with that, usually I pick about 4 or 5 pairs that I will be looking at that week because of what range they're in. And I would like to go over a couple things from last week. And I also want to give you a good forecast on what is coming up this week and what I'm looking at and what I would like to expect. Real quick, just going down the list. I did see for coming up this week, we'll start with that. I was looking at CAD Chef CC. I see that we have broken down here and started making lower lows, as you can see with my pink circles. I was waiting for this supply zone at the top to be hit after we broke this low right here, making this lower. Now we have retraced up. What I do see, even though the supply zone has not been hit, I do see beautiful Wyckoff in this area. And a good reason why I'm looking at this trade and where I don't mind the supply zone not to be hit is because if you look right here, if you take this whole push up before the break of structure, we have came past the 50% of that. So that is a good range to be looking for sells at. Keep in mind, traders, that every time it doesn't have to come all the way up to your supply zones every single time. But what I would like to see before even looking at a sell for this pair is a break of structure on a lower time frame, or you can honestly see it right here. We have let me get this out. We have the low, we have the high, we have the low, we have the high, and now we have broken structure to the downside impulsively too. That is very key, impulsively. But we have broken the structure and now we have traded back up into this supply zone right here. So what I would do is I would take this and look at this supply zone right here. And as you can see, here's your 50%, and it is right at the 50%. So if we went down into price a little bit more to see what is going on here, what do we have? Well, we have retraced up into the supply zone. And as you can see, here is our break of structure. To the bottom, here's the retrace up into that. And what do we have from here? Let's go down on the lower time frame. Let's go to an hour time frame, see what's going on. Looks like we have a strong impulsive move down and the trade back up into this area. So I would look at this as a break of structure too. There we go. And we traded back up to that. So when market opens, what I would like to see, there's 2 things that could happen with this. This could be the sign that we are going down and we have respected this high right here. Or it is possible that this right here, this break of structure could just be Wyckoff on the Wyckoff schematic could be the sign of weakness in phase D. So what I would like to see is some more Wyckoff in here before I look for sells. So if I went down on the 15-minute real quick, as you can see, we kind of broke structure down here as well. So market opens, I'm definitely going to be looking for sells in this area right here. It already started to retrace, it looks like, but when it comes down to it, when I enter the trade, what I'm going to be looking for is a smaller Wyckoff schematic in here with the break and the test. So that is what I'm going to be looking for on CAD Chef. Another pair that I was looking at is GJ. Go to the daily real quick. So what do we see here? We are going down. Like, this is our structure point where That is our liquidity low. Looks like we have a break of structure right here. Break of structure bottom. And then after that, we have came up, and now this would be our protected high. So I am looking at this area, and as you know, what a wick is on a lower time frame is it's an up candle followed by a down candle in this scenario. So I am looking at this area to be hit, to be looking for sells. And honestly, guys, there is no need to go to any other time frame but this right here. I will be waiting for this area to be hit. I will set an alert. Add alert right there. And I'm done. I'm done with this analysis. I literally looked at everything. I put the trend in play. I saw the breaks of structure. I saw what is liquidity. I saw what is protected. And I would just wait for those zones to be hit. Nothing else to do. When it gets into that area, then I will be looking for fractal Wyckoff for a entry. And that would be it. And we'll see if we get our entry when that time comes. Another good pair that I was looking at is USD Chef, Swiss franc. So what do we have here? I have two zones that I would like to be hit. This demand area or this demand area. Reason why I have this is I can see that we do have imbalance right here that has not been filled yet, and we did get a break of structure to the top side. Get that break of structure to the top side, and this could have supported that break of structure because we did not break, and then we broke. So now I want to see price come back into this demand area and give me some fractal Wyckoff to trade higher. But you can't stay married to your buy. It is very easy. It's very easy for somebody just to take a trade just like this. Just like that, and take it to the top side without no confirmation inside that range. It is possible. You can do that. I do that on some of the trades, depending on how the candles are playing out, what zones are left behind, where the break of structure are, where liquidity is, and those are perfect trades that you can take. In this scenario, I would like to see confirmations because I will not take this straight off the gate because I do see all this liquidity on this trend line right here, and I do see this demand zone at the bottom that could have been the sponsor of this whole break of structure as well, leaving all of this as liquidity. So I would like to see one or two demand zones met. If I do get fractal Wyckoff in this demand zone, I will take that. Will it hold for new highs? Possible. Possibly not too. It's all how you manage your trade once you get into the trade. And one more pair that I wanted to look at with you guys is UJ. A lot of us trade UJ. So what do we have here? We're looking at this as a break of structure. This right here. Break of structure, come down, and now I'm waiting to see if this is gonna hold or if this is gonna get broken. If price breaks this high right here, then I will want to see price retrace back into this demand zone. I want to see this, guys. The break, the retrace down to fill in all of this imbalance into this demand zone. Look for fractal Wyckoff, and then take it to the top side again. Pretty simple, pretty straightforward. Just looking for your breaks of structure, the liquidity, where liquidity lies, what is happening with the charts, where price is, and kind of going from there. So I will wait to see what is going to happen with UJ, if it's going to break this, or could break this as well, just to see kind of what's going to happen. Now, I do want to go over a couple of thoughts I had for this past week. So some of them played out, some of them didn't. I'll go over two of them real quick. I was looking at AJ. I was looking for sells, or I was looking for buys. I saw that we had a breaker structure right here, and then I was notating out this 50% zone right here, and what happened when we got to the 50 on a lower time frame. Looks like it tapped the 50 almost perfectly, and then we had a breaker structure right here, and I entered on the 50% of the last down push with my stop below the low, and it took me out. It's just a probability game. It happened. It was a good setup, but it wanted to go lower. And depending on what is happening with this chart, I don't really like this chart right now because it could have switched structure, and this could be our protected. But as of right now, I still want this demand zone to be met. If it hits this demand zone, I will look for the fractal Wyckoff in this demand zone. If not, and if it just wants to skyrocket from here, it's just going to skyrocket from here without me. I have more pairs to look at. I'm not worried about it. And then if it does want to break this high, then we will assess the chart when that happens and come back to it later and see if there's any good trade possibilities that could happen. But other than that, AJ, I don't want to say bad trade because it wasn't a bad trade at all. It was just probability game. And we lost that one. Trade that I was looking at on GA this week. And it was beautiful on TradingView, let me tell you that. So we have this big breaker structure right here. We have to come back up into the 50% of the last whole up push. I want to stress this, the up push that broke structure to the downside. Come back up into the 50%, and what do we have again? Zoom into it a little bit more. We have the up, hit the 50, and then we break down. So what happens after that? We notate the 50. Where does it come back to? 50%. And then what happens again? We get a breaker structure to the downside. After that, so I notate out my supply zone that I would like to be hit after we get the break. And then you wait. You literally wait. You sit on your hands. I waited for 2 or 3 days for this to hit. And it finally hit. It came back up there. And did I take this trade just like this? Yes, I did. It was perfectly fine trade. Because we have a breaker structure to the downside. I see that this mitigated this move right here, and then we have a breaker structure. And then once it came back up and hit the open of the supply, there was probably a lot of sellers in that area. They came back down, but they did not break this low. This did not get broken down here. So then when it came back up, it did the same thing. It didn't break that, so then we're in this range. All this range is doing is creating liquidity for buyers and sellers. You don't want to be a part of that. You want to wait. You want to sit on your hands and you want to wait for your zones to be hit. I cannot stress that enough. Wait. You have a bias, stick to your bias. If you want a supply zone to be hit, you want a 50 of that supply zone to be hit, you wait for that. Do not enter trades in early because it will do this on you. You will expect it will hit the open of the zone, and then you will expect it to break to the downside, and your target will be the low. And it'll get close, and then it'll just take you out. So don't do that. Literally wait for your zones to be hit. My area on this trade was 50% of this last up push that broke structure. I entered this trade just like this, at the 50, with my stop above the high, targeting the low. Only downside on this trade was when I entered this on my broker, I took the 50% of the last up push that I saw that broke structure, and on my broker, it did not tap me in, unfortunately. So, but that's okay. I know that my analysis was spot on. I know that it was a good trade. I was confident in the trade, and I entered. Simple as that. Stick with your bias. Stick with what you believe in. If you see this stuff, take the trade. Don't hesitate. Stop thinking about, oh, well, I lost my last 2 or 3 or 4. If your setup's there, take it, because if you lose 3 in a row, there's a good possibility you could win 7 in a row right back. and then you'll be up in profit. Just because you lose some trades doesn't mean your system is wrong or faulted. You might have to make some tweaks to it, but other than that, stick with your bias, stick with your plan, stick with your trades. And that pretty much wraps it up on what I think that I'm expecting for this week. And just wanted to show you guys on a trade that I lost that I'm not even worried about, because I know that it was a good trade. And with this trade right here on GA, I'm not upset about the trade itself, about not getting in the trade at all. I am happy that it hit on TradingView, and I'm seeing dark blue on my chart, because that means to tell me that my plan is good. I'm sticking to my plan. I entered the trade, and if it would have hit on my broker, I would have been back positive, you know? So not even a big deal. I'm ready for this week. Hope you guys are too. And if you have any questions, just let me know. I'm gonna pass it over to Heat for the conclusion.
Thanks for the analysis, Danny. Well, that wraps it up for us. I hope everyone enjoyed this week's weekly forecast. If there's any pairs in particular you'd like us to focus on for next week's forecast, please post them in the comment section. And if you enjoyed our content, don't forget to like and subscribe to our channel, as well as any of our social media links that we have linked on our YouTube page. And until next time, thanks a lot, guys.